How many times was I traumatized this episode? I would say probably 4 times. Yeah. Okay. Where should I start? I don't know where to start. Let me start with the tame and move on up. Starlight was being harassed continually by the conspiracy theorist chick, and she just couldn't take it no more. And she showed up and beat the chick down. Hard. Bloody. Eyes ablazing. And it messed up her whole political connection because she was outed for having an abortion. And oh god. So that's the, I think that is that the, let me think of something else that was tame that happened this episode. Huey made a deal with A-Train. If he wanted him to get him some of the V so that he could save his father with it. And A-Train goes to Homelander's bedroom apparently because that's where he keeps it. He's searching. And I can't understand why he's there because I'm thinking to myself, well, if you were going to do it, wouldn't you do it as fast as you could? Because I would assume Homelander would have cameras. I guess he doesn't. That chick, the redheaded chick, she's in there. And she's asking him what he's doing in there. He is asking her what she's doing in there. Apparently she left a floater in Homelander's bathroom. And he was there for some V. So now they're working together because they're not going to tell on each other. He gives it to Huey. Huey, it didn't look like he gave it to his father, but then all of a sudden you see it in his father's IV. And yeah, his father wakes up. Okay. How about Billy Butcher, mate? Well, Billy, on a little side mission with Mother's Milk, runs into, I don't know. He runs into Mr. Fantastic, gets in a fight, and something bursts out of him and absolutely pops and destroys, splatters, cadatters all over the place Mr. Fantastic. Does he have a symbiote inside of him? Is that the dark mass that Homelander saw? Like, what did Homelander see inside of him? What? Because we've seen that little worm all through his face and his back, and it seemed like it got longer at certain points. I'm like, he's got a symbiote or something, for something to bust out of him. He's covered in blood. Mr. Fantastic is destroyed. What the hell is going on? Oh my god. Okay, so, all right, let's see. I could hardly watch this. The Deep wants Sage again, but she's not down with it. And one of you commented last week that you think that she lobotomized herself. And I don't know if you figured that out for yourself or if you saw it. But she gets him to lobotomize her. And I could hardly watch it. I was like, oh God. It was like so, oh my God. Like, for example, certain things really bother people. A lot of invasive things, people's beheadings, people's things being crushed. Like, certain things really bother people. And I remember watching something about The Exorcist. And they were talking about one of the worst scenes for people was when it wasn't none of the possession stuff. It was when she went to get the spinal tap. If you see that movie. Yeah, it's cringeworthy. Now, it's funny, he lobotomized her because she said that she would let him in the boutte. Well, well, well. This episode was Homelander's homecoming. And, oh, I totally forgot. Before I jump to all those traumatizing things, the Wolverine chick, keep forgetting her name, Kumiko, she meets up and fights that girl again. And you find out that Kumiko's basically the one that kidnapped her and forced her into whatever it was. And the girl hates her. Meanwhile, Huey ends up killing the dude that was attacking him. So there's a certain point there where blood's all over him. And you're like, does he have a killer streak? Did that just turn him into a murderer? You know what I mean? And he's okay with it. It seemed like it was liberating for him. You got what I'm saying? And Frenchie finally comes out and tells his lover that he killed his family. And the dude tries to kill him and he lets him go. Just like every movie, just like every show you've ever seen, they start choking him, then they let him go and tells him, if I ever see you again, I'll kill you. So he doesn't want him to come around him ever again. All right. So we get to the other traumatizing stuff. Homelander. Homelander goes to the lab of people that raised him. And he starts to systematically destroy and kill every single one of them. The first one he kills because they would try to see if Homelander was combustible, burnable, if his skin could be burned. Well, they found out that it couldn't be burned, but he could still feel it. And I think this was the guy hitting the switch. And while they were watching him fry in pain, this guy was playing basketball, wastebasket basketball. So Homelander invites him to play a game with him of wastebasket basketball. Basically, he puts him in the oven that they tried burning him in. And what does he do? Turns it up. He told him if he didn't get in, you don't get in, your whole family's gonna get in too. Boom. Down. Number one. Number two. This one called him Squirt. He said he was always nice to me. He said you were one of the nicer ones. But not all the time. This guy apparently caught him relieving himself sexually. And he called him Squirt for that. So, Homelander made him whip his wee-wee out and pleasure himself in front of them. And he told him if he couldn't get erect, he was going to laser his wee-wee off. And what do you think he did? Exactly. The head honcho comes in, the woman that was in charge of the program. He obeyed her. Because everybody else called him John. Homelander. She called him John, and he actually listened. I was like, oh. You find out that psychologist found out that he needed love so much. His love, his need for acceptance, for approval. He did not want to disappoint them. That was their way of controlling him because he could leave anytime he wanted. He was born by lasering his way out of his mother, his surrogate, whoever carried him, and killing 2 other doctors. And she seemed to talk to him with a certain level of arrogance, grinning at him as she's talking trash. And I was like, but he may not do anything to her. I'm like, she seems to be very sure that she's got the upper hand here in some way. Well, it seems as if she did. We'll see in the next episode, but he called a specific room the bad room. He said, I'm going to show you why I called this the bad room. And at the end, we saw this in the trailer. He is just covered in blood. Covered in blood. And the room is littered with all their body parts, except for her. She's sitting there Yeah. Oh, by the way, Billy asked him to get the boy from Homelander and raise him. But Billy asked Milk of magnesia. I mean, mother's milk to do that if he didn't make it. So, oh boy, you know, I liked this episode more. This episode was crazy. It was nuts. I'm gonna give this one a 3.5 out of 5. Woos! My reaction is live on Patreon and YouTube memberships if you dare. Oh God. I don't think there's anything I missed or forgot. If I did, give me a break. I'm traumatized. Whoa.